Good morning from glorious Goa. We've been here for 5 days now, and the weather every single day has been like this. 29 to 32 degrees. Tata. Everything's tata. The vehicles, the air conditioning units, everything. 32 degrees, 33 degrees every day, blue sky, scorchingly hot. You can see around now the vegetation, everything's starting to dry up. Today, well, first of all, we've just had a very good coffee, good breakfast. We're fueled up. The bike, instead of usually putting in some old water bottles from the side of the road that someone puts in, and I've got a funny feeling that they put about 20% water in to dilute it. Instead of doing that, I decided to go to a proper petrol station. And honestly, this bike runs completely differently now. I've actually used proper fuel without diluting it with water. So classic 350 running perfectly. We're off on our biggest ride so far. In that direction, 45 minutes away, is a town called Velha Goa, Old Goa. I only really found out about this when Monika and I were exploring an area around Goa, and a Portuguese couple came up to us and they said, if you think this old Portuguese architecture is impressive, you have got to go to Old Goa. This was, 500 years ago, Portugal's centre of commerce. Hugely important looking town, city. And looking at the pics on Google, doing a bit of research, it looks highly impressive. So there's a dual carriageway in that way. We're going to jump on there, head 45 minutes away, and let's see what it's like. Old Goa. That, I'll be completely honest, was actually a surprisingly boring ride. Dual carriageways, difficult to actually see any of the scenery, and just nothing really to see. Almost for 45 minutes. I also went the wrong side of a dual carriageway where there was a no motorbike sign, so we had to push the bike back down the dual carriageway. But 5 minutes coming into Old Goa, and the scenery just falls away with 3 churches prodding out of the really, really thick vegetation, the jungle, the forest type vegetation. We're now, I think, 5 minutes away from the centre of Old Goa, and look at what we found here. I have no idea what this is, but we've been going down this road, really, really impressive old colonial style villas. And this old car just parked up in front of a little Christian shrine. What is that car? It's incredible, but there's no way, I'm sure, that was ever sold in Europe. This must be an Indian-made car because I've never seen anything like it. Surely it has to be 40s or 50s. That's a proper entrance. Okay, 5 minutes, and I think in that direction we should be close to the centre of Old Goa. Old Goa. Welcome. I will be completely honest. I expected old style cobbled streets, Portuguese architecture, coffee shops here and there, maybe get some old pastel del nata, that kind of thing. But I have a theory why that isn't the case. About 500 years ago when the Portuguese came over here, they built all of this. This town, Old Goa, had a population of 200,000. It was a major trading town. But about 200 years after that, in the year 1700, give or take, there was a huge amount of disease, cholera, typhoid, things like that. And the population of Old Goa here reduced from 200,000 to 1,750. Literally, the whole population was either decimated or left. So all you have left now of any real note are monasteries, churches, chapels. You can see left and right everywhere. Big tourist attractions. And they are hugely impressive, but there's nothing else that I can see. And you don't have a hub. There's no central town area where you can just have a casual wander, just relax, chill out, soak in the sights. It's you go from one church and you park up somewhere and then you walk into another. There's nothing in between it. There are no little side streets at all. So my theory, we are going to ride 8 miles west to the town of, I believe it's called Panaji. Panaji is the town that they relocated Old Goa to form the new capital after all of the disease. And I'm hoping that could have a bigger selection of things to see, places to go, places to eat. So we'll jump back on the bike, head off 8 miles west. I hope I'm right with this. Okay, Monica, don't worry. Things don't always go to plan, but I'm now completely confident that I've picked the right spot. I'll just have to say price-wise. Cold brew coffee, lemongrass and ginger tea, and a bottle of water, £1.85. It's phenomenal value. I think now we're on the edge of the old part of Panaji. Now this is the town that took over from Old Goa. I've done a lot of research on Old Goa, but not as much on Panaji, so just have a quick listen to this. Panaji was a tiny village until the mid-18th century when repeated plagues forced Goa's Portuguese colonizers to abandon their capital of Old Goa. So this is where everyone came. So what we're going to do, finish off our drinks and then have a look round. Before I cool myself down with my warm tea, I'll show you a constant source of inspiration, whether it's getting stuff ready, content for the podcast, or travel. That is one of my favorite apps of all time, Readly. Readly is a digital magazine and newspaper subscription, and it's all here in the most user-friendly app. Everything is so seamless. Just the fact that in the palm of my hand, especially when traveling, I've got all of these titles, all of this content here. Have a look at how easy this is to use. If I press on the top left of the screen, I've got my profile and then Monika's, so we can all have, Monika and I, our different preferred newspaper and magazine subscriptions. On the homepage here, you can see that I've got a few recommendations from my favorite titles, MCN, The Week, Practical classics, you can clearly see where my hobbies lie. It's vehicles and a little bit of travel thrown in there. This is what I really like though. This is how easy it is to use. Press on my library, and then I've got all of my favourite magazines. I mean, look at the breadth of different titles. So many car, travel magazines. You've got public affairs, you've got current affairs, I should say, finance, lifestyle, health and fitness. But these, for my core areas of interest, I mean, you can open up, for example, National Geographic. Open up any magazine you want, you can scroll through all of the older editions, and within that, if you press on there, you can flick through to specific pages quickly. You can download an episode. This one's already been downloaded, but if I want to download this one, press on the download, and then that will save it. So when you're in an area with no signal, for example on a plane, you can still read all of the titles that you want. Press back onto the library section, and if I've found a specific title or a specific magazine, for example from June 2020, that I want to save, that specific article, I can press on save and then go to my bookmarks section, and this is where those specific articles have been saved. So from Bike Magazine, I've saved an article here from a guy called Ashim, who has ridden his Suzuki sports bike across India and different countries. It's just so brilliant that I can save all of these little articles, these magazines, and they're in the palm of my hand here as a constant source of inspiration. So if you are interested in trying out Readly, and I do highly recommend it, you can click on a link in the written description, or you can click on the pinned comment. If you do so, you get 2 months free Readly subscription, and you can cancel at any time. For now though, I'll finish warming myself up with this tea, and then we'll head off and have a wander around Pangaea. You know, it often works like this. The times that you plan nothing, know nothing about an area, are the times when things end up being most interesting. I have no idea what to expect, but just judging by the look out of that window, I'm excited. Now this is interesting. This is what I expected Goa Old Town to be like. But the difference between the Old Town and this proper town is gigantic. The Old Town pretty much isn't a town, it's a tourist attraction of the incredible old churches and monasteries and convents, but nothing else around it. But this is a proper old town. I mean, have a look at the road names. Rua de Natal, and even this here, Abrigo de Botelho. Proper colonial little town. And Monica, if you go over to the left, I'll just walk over here. So many different colours, ornate balconies, church in the distance there, leading all the way up to the hill there. You can just see if you peek through between these two buildings here. It's a proper, I think they call this the Latin Quarter of the town. I'm genuinely excited to explore. We'll park the bike up, maybe somewhere away from here because I think I'm blocking somewhere. We won't stand here because it says we can't stand here, so I'll keep on marching forward. Let's find somewhere to park and have a little explore. When the food is this good value, it's very hard to try and resist temptation. This is Kailash Parbat. This is supposedly a very popular Indian restaurant. Started by two brothers who used to sell food on the side of the street. They've expanded from the 1940s, opened their first restaurant in 1952, and they now have 52 restaurants around India. So it's meant to be Mumbai street food. So Monica, all of the food you saw in Mumbai on the side of the street, with everyone cooking in their own little houses, in their shop fronts, in their little vans, all of that stuff going on, in theory, this is Mumbai street food. Great thing about it, every dish you see here is around £1.50. This plate of, I think it's naan bread, it's about 90 pence for that. Everything is brilliant. Probably all of the things you see here no more than £8. We had a 5-course meal yesterday, 5 courses, 2 drinks, £18. The value is phenomenal, and the flavours, always just so exquisite, so varied. I think I said it in the first video we got to India, it's some of the most delicious, flavoursome food I've ever had in my life. Got to tuck it now. Right, have a listen to this. 1 sag paneer, a Bombay dal, puri, samosa chaats, dal tadka, 2 butter naans and rice. The price, including service charge, £12.80. You cannot not gorge here. Right, this is always left for us at the end of each meal, and I have never had any idea what this is. It looks like a little metal bowl of cumin seeds and other things. So I asked the extremely polite waiter what it is, and he said, oh, this is a mouth freshener. You don't get a little mint in India. You have a spoon.
I think put it in your hand.
And throw it in my mouth.
Mm-hmm. It's really delicious.
Wow. Flavours. An overdose of flavours. It's weirdly tasty.
It's really, really good.
And genuinely, your mouth does feel fresh. Down the street from the restaurant, which is just there, you've got the motorbike mechanics street where all the bikes are fixed. So there's a Yamaha RX 100 there about to be worked on. And then all the way down the street, you've got different mechanics working on different motorbikes, different mopeds of varying makes, models and ages, and all along this street. Seems like a kind of unofficial area where all of the bikes get worked on in this town. That turned into a very successful day. Panjim, the proper capital of Goa. Now it makes complete sense. It's also interesting coming here because it's a proper Goan working town. You know, you've got people on the side of the streets selling nuts, selling food, people going about their business, shops, restaurants. And it's got a charm to it with that old style, colonial buildings and element to it. It's got a lovely mix between New Indian and Old Portuguese. It's a very nice place. It is, supposedly, relatively speaking, a touristy place, but all I can do is compare the touristy areas of Goa to the touristy areas of Bali. And if I'm comparing it with the likes of Thailand and Bali, it's not remotely touristy at all. This is just people going about their normal lives. I probably see about 10 tourists a day, so I haven't seen anywhere that's overtly tourist so far. Everything in Goa is just beautifully simple. People just getting on with life. And it's about half an hour to sunset. I'm in India. I've got a Royal Enfield. I'm going to have a sunset ride back home, if I can find the keys. What more could I want? So thank you so much, everyone, for coming along. Have a brilliant week all. And I'll see you all in the next one.